Masson here, and today we're in the Teton National Forest, and we're hiking all the way up there to a secret alpine lake. It has no official trail, so we're going to make our own and camp the night. Love you too. Last night the wife and I drove about 25 miles in from the highway down a forest road into kind of central region of the Teton National Forest. After setting up camp and relaxing a bit, I was on my computer kind of looking at the topo maps and different hikes around the area, and I found this lake at the top of the mountains, an alpine lake that has no trail, no path, no official way in, which is pretty strange for this area. Nearly every alpine lake out here in the national forest, especially in this area, has at least a trail that goes by or a trail that goes straight to the lake. The goal here is to try to get to the lake in less than 3 days. I think it's totally doable. We have two paths here. I found a trail that gets within 6 miles of the lake. That trail is going to be questionable because when we branch off the trail to head towards the lake, we have to go over a pretty large pass. So if it's just too sketchy, too dangerous, we're probably gonna have to turn around and take option 2, which is to hike over the range, or the one side of the range, round the summit, and then hike in, which is about 12 miles. I don't know what we're gonna do. The situation in the pack is I've got 3 days worth of food and supplies, so I can't get there with option A. I'm gonna continue on and try to get there with option B. I must say, I'm only a couple of miles in, and just looking at this range is fairly daunting. So if I'm not mistaken, option A is up and around into this little area right here. Option B, unfortunately, is up and around this avalanche chute, over the chute, down and around and back up into the canyon. I think between these two peaks. It might actually be on the other side of these two peaks. Honestly, I can't tell from the GPS right now. Yeah, we have our work cut out for us for sure. Climbing over deadfall with a pack on is really no fun. If I had to guess, there was probably a forest fire here in the last 3 or 4 years, so there's a lot of deadfall over the trail, and I guess it's still recent enough that it hasn't been cleaned up. Getting over these logs, it's a lot of work. I got these sweet potato sticks from Costco. They're awesome for camping. Kind of taste like candy, like in the same way that Alpine candy tastes. But they pack a punch. There's 60 grams of carbs in a pack of these. So it's a great fuel source for when you're doing these hikes. And then the king go-to, cranberries, macadamia nuts, and a couple different seeds. But the majority of this is going to be cranberries and mac nuts. That's my go-to trail mix. It's really it's about as calorie dense as it gets. All right, we're about 5 miles in, still going strong. In about a mile from now, we are going to have to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to take Route A over the ridge, lake, or Route B. I think we're going to have to put eyes on it though before we make that decision. As promised, at 6 miles, we are at the decision point of this journey. So I'm not sure if this is doing it justice, but we would have to go up and over this guy and around to get to the lake. That's probably 3,000 feet, maybe 2,000 feet. It's hard to tell from here. Or we go out and around this avalanche chute, around this peak, and in to the lake. So I'm gonna have to take a minute to think about this. Probably gonna take a seat and look at the GPS and figure out what the smartest, safest route is. All right, so the plan is going to be, we're going to head up here. We're gonna go 3 miles into Route A. We're going to set 3 miles as a turnaround point. If it looks too daunting at 3 miles, then we're gonna turn around and we're gonna take the 12-mile detour. I think this is the way to do it. I mean, to be totally transparent, normally if I'm elk hunting, I don't have a heavy pack on. pack is left at camp. All I have is a rifle and like enough food for the day. So this is going to be a little bit tougher with 3 days worth of stuff on my back, including camp. But we'll see. Let's head up and see how it goes. We are getting there. I mean, I feel like we're too far to turn around now. I mean, unless something comes up, but we're finally into the rocky portion. It is pretty desolate and bouldery. I don't know how else to describe it. A lot of small rock falls all over the place, but we'll push on. Nothing's too bad yet. I really don't know if you can tell, but this is the rock part that I was talking about. I wasn't sure I'd be able to pass. Really steep, and it's very slow moving. We're gonna push on and try to get to the top. It hits about 6 o'clock, and we're still not at the top. So I'm gonna take a little break, have a little water, fill up, and then keep going. I think that this is our last ascent portion up this rock face. I don't really know what you call it. It's all just loose boulders and rock. We'll head up there and hopefully we get a view of the lake when we're at the top of that. It should be the last difficult portion, and then we can set up camp and relax. Oh, that's what we call a false summit. Unfortunately, that was not the peak we were looking for. We have one more. Here's what that looks like. See, we got to go down here and then back up and cross over that. And it's got to be in there, right? I think we're almost there. Maybe only another 200-300 feet. And I think we're there. This river is definitely coming from the lake. So I think we've almost made it. We made it! Finally! That was one of the rougher hikes I think I've ever done. 12 miles in. Did it in I don't even know how long, but we made it. You can see there's still I'm guessing that's a little iceberg out there, a little chunk of ice that still hasn't melted. We still have some snow up in the mountains that's melting into here, which is what's making the stream flow. I'm a little disappointed I didn't bring my fishing rod. I've seen tons of fish. The long-awaited lifting of the pack off the shoulders. Oh. Oh. I'm exhausted. I guess it's time to go find a flat area to set up camp. So it makes sense to me now, having done this hike, why it doesn't have an official trail. I don't know where you'd make a trail to get up here. It's just too steep and rocky, and it's not like those boulders that you can kind of climb up onto. They're like smaller rocks that you just slide down every time you take a step. So I get it. That's probably the reason. I mean, if it wasn't the case, I mean, I feel like this would be one of the more popular alpine lakes out here. It's beautiful. Alright guys, so I think we've just found the perfect spot for camp tonight, right by these trees. We're pretty well protected from the wind. There's a lot of wind that comes through here, and this area feels kind of just like, it just feels well protected. There really aren't a lot of places to set up camp up here, mainly because of all these boulders and the chunks of grass. The chunks of grass are the worst because you just can't get a flat lay of sleep anywhere. But this area right here is about as flat as it gets. So we'll set up camp here, then we'll go maybe to the top of the ridge over there, eat dinner, come back to camp, get everything organized, throw the bag up in a tree, and get some well-needed rest. All right, with that set up, let's head down to the water, fill our waters, and then go find a nice spot to cook dinner. All right, we've got the Nalgene water full, and we've got the MSR wind burner full of water as well. So now it's time to go find a nice place with a view, cook some dinner, take in the scenery, and go to bed. All right, I'm a little ways away from camp right now, but I wanted to get the last little bit of light that was possible, stay warm. And also, you want to cook dinner, especially when you're out here in the northern Rockies of the United States, and any of the Rockies really in Canada. You want to cook most of your food away from camp because of grizzly bears. This area that I'm in specifically has some grizzly bears, not a lot of grizzly bears, not like Yellowstone or Banff or anything like that, but it did have what most people would call America's most famous grizzly bear. I think grizzly bear like 399 is what they called her. She was famous for having like an insane amount of litters. She passed recently. She was hit by a car not too far from here as well. So they're definitely out here, but they're not as prevalent as kind of the northern Rockies of the United States or Banff or anything like that. So let's dig into dinner. So our two options for tonight are this Mountain House Pad Thai with chicken. I've never had it before, but it only has 20 grams of protein and 500 calories. So that's probably not going to happen tonight after that hike. This guy has 49 grams of protein and over 1,000 calories, and it's beef pasta marinara, and that sounds delicious. So this is actually my favorite of all of the freeze-dried foods that you can just buy at Cabela's or any store. So yeah, let's get cooking. All right, now we have to go find a tree to hang our pack and our food, just for good measure. There are a lot of black bears in this area, and like I was saying, there may be a couple grizzlies, so better safe than sorry. Really aren't many options out here. These trees they're exactly pack friendly. They're all either spindly or don't have very long branches, but we'll find something. This one looks pretty reasonable if I can get the rope above it. Oh. So I forgot my sleeping bag at home, so I bought this Kelty 20 Fahrenheit sleeping bag a couple days ago at REI, but when I bought it, it was already packed, and it's transit case, it was the small one, so it was already mushed down, and it's a down bag, so I only let it breathe and expand for 2 days before bringing it up here. So hopefully that's enough and it's able to keep me warm tonight, or else I'll have to layer up. Because if you don't know, these down bags, like if you keep them compressed for a long period of time, they lose almost all of their heating capacity. So you need to let them breathe when they're at home and not being used. You can't store them in the bags you use to travel with. It's about 9:30 right now and the sun still hasn't fully set. I'm pretty exhausted though. That hike took a lot out of me. So I think I'm gonna pack it in for the night and we'll see you in the morning.
The moon was really bright last night. This morning we'll do the pad thai and keep the rest of the food for another trip.
All right, and with the sun coming up, I think we're just going to explore, walk around the lake before we pack up camp and head back down the mountain. There's still snow up here from the last winter. Right, the sun is up and it's getting warm out quick, so I think the plan here is we're going to throw some shorts on, pack up camp, and then head down the mountain. All right, we're headed down the mountain. We got about 12 miles ahead of us. I couldn't be a quarter mile from my campsite and I think I see a trail. It could be a game trail, but it looks like a legitimate trail. I'm gonna check it out, see if it can get me closer to my connecting point, maybe help with the descent a little bit. This is definitely a trail of some sort, and it's more than a game trail, so I'm gonna follow this for as long as it goes, as long as it doesn't waver off and go in the wrong direction. You can see this trail is actually on the opposite side of the canyon I came up on. I came up from this side over here, and this trail follows this ridge line. So we're a couple miles in and you can see that the trail that we're going on actually runs perpendicular to the one we took to get up there. So we actually climbed this last night, and this trail that I'm following is basically just doing S's all the way down this ridge. So I'm going to continue on it to the bottom and then branch off probably to my my trailhead. They're everywhere in these northern Rockies. If you're ever in a survival situation, one of your primary easiest sources of protein is going to be grouse. And we have a nice big grouse right here. I'll show you. They're quite a big bird, smaller than a chicken, but will definitely keep you satiated in an emergency situation. That trail was a huge time saver. I probably saved about 1,000 feet of scrambling down loose rocks, something I was not looking forward to doing to this morning. So I found my trail from yesterday. There's still a little bit of a footpath from me, so I'm going to follow that down. The grouse really are everywhere. I've probably seen about 15 of them on my hike down. And we're back to the main trail. Hello.